We are wicked wizards demanding the resurrection of the yellowed and blackened bones of forgotten masters of horror, science fiction, fantasy, and beyond. Subscribe, comment, like, or I'll send the vampire Helen to rip your heart out. Writers, poets, songwriters, reach out to us if you want to be part of our growing pile of bones. Writing, ghostwriting services on Upwork and Fiverr. We've had a 98% successful completion rate for projects. Contact links below. Children of Horror, Legion of Ghouls.
We proudly present Jan Neruda's The Vampire.
The excursion steamer had brought us from Constantinople to the shore of the island Principo, and we disembarked. There were not many in the party. A Polish family, father, mother, daughter, and the daughter's husband. Then we too. And I must not forget to mention that we had been joined on the wooden bridge leading across the Golden Horn in Constantinople by a Greek, quite a young man, a painter perhaps, to judge by the portfolio which he carried under his arm. Long black tresses flowed over his shoulders. His face was pale, his dark eyes deeply sunken in their sockets. At first he interested me, especially because of his readiness to oblige and his familiarity with local affairs. But he had a good deal too much to say, and I soon turned away from him. I found the Polish family all the more pleasant. The father and mother were worthy, kindly folk. The husband, an elegant young man of unassuming and polished manners. They were traveling to Principo with the object of spending the summer months there for the sake of the daughter, who was slightly ailing. From the pallor of the beautiful girl, it appeared either that she was just recovering from a severe illness or that she was about to be attacked by one. She leaned upon her husband, showed a fondness for sitting down, and a frequent dry cough interrupted her whispering. Whenever she coughed, her escort stood still in concern. He kept looking at her pityingly, and she at him, as much as to say, "There is really nothing the matter. How happy I am." They were clearly convinced of recovery and happiness. On the recommendation of the Greek, who had left us immediately by the landing stage, the family had hired a lodging at the inn which stands on the hill. The innkeeper was a Frenchman, and his whole house, in accordance with French style, was arranged comfortably and neatly. We lunched together, and when the heat of noon had abated a little, we all made our way up the hill to a pine grove where we could refresh ourselves with the view. Scarcely had we discovered a suitable spot and had settled down, then the Greek once more made his appearance. He greeted us in an offhand way, looked around him, and sat down only a few paces from us. He opened his portfolio and began to draw. "I believe he has purposely sat close against the rock so that we can't look at his drawing," I said. "We need not look," observed the young Pole. "We can see quite enough in front of us." And after a while he added, "It seems to me that he is including us in the foreground of his drawing. Let him." Truly, there was enough for us to see. There is no fairer and happier nook in the world than this Principo. The political female martyr, Irene, a contemporary of Charlemagne, spent a month there in banishment. If I could pass a single month of my life there, the memory of it would make me happy for all the remainder of my days. Even that single day I spent there, I shall never forget. The air was as clear as diamond, so soft, so delightful, that it lapped all one's soul afar. On the right, beyond the sea, towered the brown summits of Asia. On the left, the steep shore of Europe faded into the bluish distance. Close by, Halki, one of the 9 islands that form the archipelago of the Prince, rose up with its cypress woods into the silent height like a mournful dream, crowned with a large building, this a refuge for the infirm of spirit. The waters of the Sea of Marmora were only slightly ruffled and played in all colors like a sparkling opal. In the distance was the ocean, white as milk, then rose-tinted, then between 2 islands like a glowing orange, and beneath us of a beautiful greenish blue, like a transparent sapphire. It was alone in its beauty. No large vessels were to be seen. Only 2 small craft with English flags were slipping along hard by the shore. One was a steamboat the size of a watchman's booth. The other was manned by about 12 rowers, and when all their oars were lifted at the same time, it was as if molten silver were trickling from them. Artless dolphins were moving in their midst and flew in long curves above the surface of the water. From time to time, across the blue sky, peaceful eagles soared, measuring out a boundary between 2 portions of the world. The whole slope beneath us was hidden by blossoming roses, with whose fragrance the air was saturated. From the cafe near the sea, music muffled by the distance vibrated through the stainless air. The impression was overwhelming. We all grew silent and sated our whole being with the prospect which savored of paradise. The young Polish lady was lying on the turf with her head resting in her husband's lap. The pale oval of her delicate face gained a slight color, and tears suddenly began to flow from her blue eyes. Her husband understood. He bent forward and kissed tear upon tear. Her mother also began to shed tears, and I myself was strangely moved. Mind and body must needs be healed here, whispered the girl. What a happy place. God knows I have no enemies, but if I had, here I would forgive them, declared the father with trembling voice. And again all were silent. A feeling of beauty, of inexpressible sweetness came upon all. Each one felt within him a whole world of happiness, and each one would have shared his happiness with the whole world. Each one felt the same, and so none jarred upon the other. We did not even notice that the Greek, after some hour or so, had arisen, closed his portfolio, and after greeting us again, had gently departed. We remained. Finally, after some hours, when the distance was hiding itself in a dusky violet hue, which in the south is so magically lovely, the mother urged us to make our way back. We arose and strolled down to the inn, our steps as free and elastic as those of children without a care in the world. Scarcely had we sat down, then we heard quarreling and abuse under the veranda. Our Greek was quarreling there with the innkeeper, and we listened for our amusement. The quarrel did not last long. If I had no other guest here, growled the innkeeper, and came up the steps towards us. Would you kindly tell me, sir, asked the young Pole of the innkeeper as he came along, who this gentleman is, and what his name is? Oh, who knows what the fellow's name is? Growled the innkeeper, giving a vicious glance downwards. We call him the vampire. A painter? A fine trade. He only paints corpses. If anybody in Constantinople or round about here dies, he always has a portrait of the corpse ready on the same day. The fellow paints in advance, and he never makes a mistake, the vulture. The old Polish lady gave a cry of horror. In her arms lay the daughter, swooning, white as a sheet. And at the same instant, the husband leaped down the small flight of steps, seized the Greek by the throat with one hand, and with the other clutched at the portfolio. We quickly ran down after him. The two men were already scuffling in the sand. The portfolio was flung down, and on one leaf, sketched in pencil, was the head of the young Polish girl. Her eyes closed, a sprig of myrtle around her brow.
Thank you for listening.